Hey, so today is Saturday. I've been thinking about doing another video for everyone. I got a lot of responses, and I want to start by thanking everyone who's written. As far as do I get better? I mean, the main thing is I jitter, and I now look at what it is to detox the lead out of the system. My girlfriend wrote, "You got to deal with the Lyme disease. That's the number one thing. And everything you describe is Lyme." Anyway, I don't know. And it's very mysterious to me. Part of why I would say maybe Ra really was a shaman is that I have all these incredibly difficult, all neurological issues, but so many, and they're diverse, and I don't seem to get better about any of it. But you know what? I am very glad that you can hear me and that I can do this recording. I wanted to do another recording that is my opinion, and really that's all it is. I cannot know what the facts are, and I can't be very sure. But based on what I do know, it is possible that Ra stole the human design system. You know, that's why I wrote that or did that video on the third crystal, that story of this cosmic fight Ra was in with this other guy was at the time that he had his experience or reported experience with the voice. And the rest, I wasn't there, so I can't know. Anyway, he changed that interpretation so much. And that is why I am totally speculating that maybe he didn't receive this. Many people ask, how could somebody who is not trustworthy be the recipient of the human design system? And honestly, I can't answer you. I think it's obvious to me that what he did with that Jovian interpretation is so questionable. He changed certain things that you would have to say, well, that came originally from the voice. What are you doing? And that is an example is of the manifesting generator, that somebody influenced Ra to say this is a design to wait. That's an example where he would change something that is original as I learned it from him into something that is confusing at best. Anyway, the other thing that I was doing in preparing by saying maybe he is not the guy who received this system, it is because it is obvious that the human design system is an incredible gift that can be used for the good. And Ra, as I have mentioned in the last couple of vids, was not interested in the good. So I have been thinking about doing this video and remembering things that happened when Ra was still here. And the first one was that he used to say to me, "When are you going to get off your white path trip?" And so I just want to explain that I'm a sannyasin, a devotee of Osho at that time, who was called Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, and Bhagwan or Osho was very clear not to follow anybody. And when I look at Jovian and what that interpretation is, follow me, it is a catechism of Ra. And here is the most questionable part. You know, Patti Patti was a sannyasin too, and she did drop sannyas to be faithful to Ra. And I think, you know, that's okay. That was not my decision. It was very clear to me that having been with an enlightened person, that Ra was not an enlightened person. And that, I think, is quite important when we have somebody that we admire. And I admired Ra. I was kind of hot for him, and he was never interested in me. Let me just be very clear. This was something that being enamored of him and serving him was something quite devotional. And so when I told him in January 99 that his classes that he taught with us and that we recorded didn't work, you know, that was the most important thing. And I did have to work for a few years to undo enough. It took probably 7 years to completely strip this whole thing off of what I'd learned to get to the most basic interpretation. Anyway, I want to go back to that Ra maybe not a good guy, and maybe he is even evil. You know, what happened to me in August 99 that started this whole downturn of my health and well-being was that by 2002, I was absolutely hoping that his attack would not kill me. And Jürgen had just died. Jürgen Saupe, who was the first devotee of Ra, Jürgen put up his family home in Munich that allowed him to produce books and schedule things for Ra, you know, to present the human design system in other cities. And Jürgen was completely devoted to Ra. Anyway, I know Ra was very tricky in, I guess it was still 99. He came back and did this whole show, and I knew it was a show at the time, that we had to send Jurgen a fax that Ra was gonna come, and could Jurgen please get stuff together so that Ra could have classes. When I say 2002, I think it is by the summer of 2000 that Jurgen died. He had what they called a heart infection, but I think Jurgen died of a broken heart. That Jurgen pulled everything together to get Ra's classes organized, and then Ra was doing it just to fool us. He was saying, oh, I'm going to go back to Germany. I'm taking the family back. And why I say Jurgen died of a broken heart, after pulling everything together the summer of 99, Ra didn't come. Ra went to Eleanor's in California instead. And, for me, what a pity. And so when Jurgen died, I had that as my impression. Man, I don't want him to kill me too. So, I, anyway, was very traumatized. I had my friends around me who were really supportive and kind, and so I did survive, but we know I didn't get better. That's not the same. Anyway, Ra being that really very manipulative guy, I came away in the last week saying I should report this. It is possible that Ra did that interpretation to screw people up, not to liberate them in any way whatsoever. Why I think he might have been evil was, as I knew him, he was so insulting of people. He condemned many people privately who he would take their money, no problem, but then say, oh, yuck, I hate that. And what he hated was somebody who was emotional, or a woman who was too fat that wanted to be his lover. He would just say how sickening people were to him. And when I said he is a psychopath, he'd never cared about people, when I look at what happened to the interpretation, it's part of what inspires me, that one thing that was obvious was that the interpretation that he left behind in the form of Jovian, it's something totally based on his design. And so what you get is an egoist saying, I don't have to be responsible. I mean, Ra's interpretation when I say it is cruel and evil, maybe even, that he interpreted human design to telling anyone you're off the hook. You don't have to be conscious here. You can be a complete asshole, but maybe that's your design. And what he used to say about himself was, it is his design to be an egoist. So I think that interpretation is very concerning and worrisome. And part of what I did, the white path trip that I'm on, I think we have to look that it is really necessary to be conscious. And one thing I already said in another video about just spaced out. I was going to say something very important that you need to understand that the I Ching that he wrote, what he told me in 94 when I proudly said, oh, I did this person's report, and I used the Wilhelm Baines I Ching. He yelled at me and he said, you should only use my I Ching. And if you look at that I Ching, it is so awful. You know, I was shaking, not like I am now, but just wow, with reacting to him yelling at me that I wasn't supposed to use any I Ching but his. That I Ching he wrote, if you know what is there, you realize how severely damaged he was and how he really wanted other people not to see how the human design works. So now shifting gears, human design is self-teaching, and what he did in being observant, and he was a very smart guy, that somehow you would have to say that he took that self-teaching and made it seem like it was the voice and it was to him alone. Everything in the interpretation, once you understand how it works, Ra's interpretation will take you 2 steps out of, infinite. But that was what he did. He interpreted and then he said, this is the way it works. But in fact, you have to undo all that crap from Ra. You will not ever figure it out until you do. So, unwinding all those types and channelings and keywords, you know, I knew I had memorized everything except the profile that I'm not so up on. But I would say, um, uh, that what Ra did in interpreting was that you get 2 steps forward and you get blocked. You don't understand what to do. And that was so typical. He misinterpreted, and because that's the only one you got, you kept trying to find what the meaning would be, and you would waste an enormous amount of time to go over Ra's clever whatever sentence and have no understanding of why you don't know what to do. So I do like doing human design. I am glad to teach people. Right now I'm in a project of preparing that my classes go onto the website and off of instant teleseminar. So I'm listening to classes from the last 3 years or so. And you know what? They are good. I was very happy. Anyway, I am done. I'm gonna hang up and stop this.